I can't believe I'm about to tell you this story. The singer had to hold this note for a couple of seconds while I accompanied her, but I just didn't. And the thing I remember the most is the silence. The first thing I thought was, I got this. Boy, did I not have that. Oh my God. I'm going to share with you the most embarrassing, humiliating, and traumatic experience I've had on a stage. It's story time. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kara. Today we're going to talk about what happens when the pianist freezes and forgets to play on stage. As a pianist and performer, I've gotten up on stage several times. Sometimes I am performing on my own, some other times I am accompanying other musicians, and I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to do that or to perform in front of a group of people, whether it was 5 or 10, 50, 100, or even thousands of people. But if you've done it, then I think we can agree that getting up on a stage or standing in front of a group of people to perform it's nerve-wracking. The experience of being on stage is one of those that are very difficult to describe to someone who hasn't experienced it in the flesh, because it involves a lot of emotions. Like, the adrenaline that you feel is so powerful, and holding people's attention, even if it's just for a couple of minutes, is very powerful. But at the same time, you put yourself in a very vulnerable position, and sometimes nerves can get the best of you, and things can spiral out of control very, very quickly. Most of the time, musicians aren't alone on stage. Even if it's just one singer, they are accompanied by an entire band or another group of musicians who are making music with them, and they don't have to be completely alone on stage. But as a classical pianist, we spend most of our time performing on our own. Pianists are actually kind of solitary people, so we live very happily just secluded in our practice rooms without having to deal with the rest of musicians. But we also have to play with other people, and things get a little complicated when that happens. Because even if you're playing with a large group of musicians, usually if there is a pianist and there is a mistake, the fault goes to the pianist, because we are trained to accompany other musicians, and we have extensive training, or we should at least, on how to listen to others, pay attention, and make sure that things go well. We have to know everything that everyone else is playing. This is usually simple on a small scale, like you're just playing perhaps with 1 or 2 more people, but if you're playing with a larger group, then it becomes exponentially difficult. In all of the experiences that I've had on stage, some have been very good, some have been great, but some other times, well, let's just say I have a couple of horror stories. I'm going to share with you the most embarrassing, humiliating, and traumatic experience I've had on a stage. Alright, so this story begins when I was on my first year of university, and at that time I had been playing piano for about maybe 2 or 3 years. I was no stranger to dealing with the pressure of being in front of people, giving a good performance, and trying not to make mistakes. Up until that moment, I had never played with another musician. I'd always been on my own. So if I messed it up, it was just my fault, and I didn't mess with anyone else. Until our professor decided that it was a good idea for us to experience what it was like to play with other musicians, and it was customary that at the end of the year, we had a big concert. So he divided us into groups, and I was paired with a singer, a soprano. And I wish I knew this back then, but it's a lot of responsibility, and I was definitely not ready to have that much responsibility back then. Maybe not even now. Once all of the groups were established, we were given the music that we would have to perform, and we were going to play 2 songs. It was about probably 8 minutes or so, and so a couple of weeks went by, and I had memorized the piece, and I could play it very well, and every time I rehearsed with the singer, things went well, and we were crushing it, okay? It was going really, really well. 2 weeks before the concert, we had a rehearsal in front of the entire class, and we performed our 2 pieces, and we did an incredible job. It probably wasn't that good because we were first years, and because we did such a good job during those rehearsals, our professor decided to increase the pressure. He told us in front of the entire class that if we were able to play at the concert the same way that we had done it during the rehearsal, that was it. We were through with the semester and we wouldn't have to take the final exams. Some of our other classmates had done a very good job with their ensembles as well, but no one else but us received the offer that if we played well at the concert, we wouldn't have to take final exams. It was a one-time thing, and we were the chosen ones. Oh my God. finally, the day of the concert arrived, and we were given the prime spot. We were going to close the first part of that concert. So anyway, the concert started, and all of my classmates just went on stage and they performed, and everything was great, and we clapped, and then it was our turn. And I was a bit nervous, but I didn't realize just how nervous I was until we got up on stage. And it was one of the first times that I was going to play on a grand piano, and I wasn't used to it, so I didn't really know how they worked. I used to think that we had to lift the top of the piano to pull out the music stand. We don't. And because I was so nervous and I didn't want to make a fuss, I assumed that I wasn't going to be able to have a music stand, and so I had my music sheets, but I couldn't put them anywhere. So instead of asking for help, I just froze. And the first thing I thought was, I got it. It's fine. I'm very good at memorizing. I have played this piece a number of times. It's all in here. I got this. Boy, did I not have that. I did not have that at all. Oh my God. So anyway, I sat down, I put my music sheets on top of the piano, I turned to look at the singer, we took a deep breath, and then I started to play. But the first minute or so, we were crushing it, just like we had during the rehearsals, until I completely froze. I forgot everything. My mind went blank, and I chose the worst possible moment to do so. Because there was a moment where the melody reached this really high note, and the singer had to hold this note for a couple of seconds while I accompanied her. But I just didn't. I forgot everything I had to do. I remember looking down at my hands, and I took my hands off the keyboard, which is the worst thing that you can do. And the thing I remember the most is the silence. Everything sort of went quiet inside my head, and I could very faintly hear that the singer was still holding her note, but I had no idea what to do. I needed my music sheets to know what I needed to play, but I couldn't find any of the information in my mind. My body wouldn't respond to any of my commands, and I was just frozen there. The concert hall was packed with all of the friends and family of every single one of our classmates, and everyone was just holding their cameras, recording us. And I was frozen on stage while the singer was holding a note on her own. It was terrifying, and I was so embarrassed, but I was so nervous that I didn't even know how to react. I didn't know if I had to stop or keep on playing, and then my brain just made a decision, and I started smashing my hands on the keys, playing something, and it just sounded very, very, very bad. And I started improvising a bit. At one moment I thought, well, maybe if I just go back to the beginning and start over, it will be fine.
No, God!
And if I had been on my own, perhaps that could have worked. But because I was accompanying a singer and she had no idea what I was going to do, she was just looking at me standing in front of the entire audience, not knowing what to do. And I swear to God, I cannot remember for the life of me what happened for the next 3 minutes. I just completely erased it from my mind. The next thing I remember is that we moved on to the second one, and everything went great. We played it just like we did during the rehearsals, and we finished. I stood up, we vowed to the public who were slowly clapping for us, not really knowing what had just happened, and we got off the stage. And I remember trying to look at my classmates. They couldn't make eye contact with me, and I don't blame them. It was one of the most embarrassing and quite honestly traumatic experiences that I've ever had on stage. And about 60 or 70 people had witnessed every excruciating second of it. Suffice to say that my professor was deeply, deeply disappointed, and of course we had to take our final exams because I had completely messed things up at that concert. So the reason I wanted to share this story is because I think we've all been there. Whether you're an artist or not, and you have to perform in front of people or not, we have all had a moment like that in our lives where we do something so spectacularly wrong that it kind of feels like it's the end of the world, and we don't really know how are we ever going to be able to show our faces in public again. And I'm here to tell you that there is life after our mistakes. That wasn't the first time that I got up on a stage, and I thought I knew how to deal with the nerves and the pressure, but clearly I still had a lot to learn. And I think I did, because after that experience, I never had anything similar happen to me again. So for anyone out there who might have had a very, very bad experience, I feel you. I know what it's like, and it's gonna be fine. And with some time, you might be able to use that story to amuse your friends and family, or to just, I don't know, reflect on your mistakes. It's never easy to get up on a stage, and even if everything that can go wrong goes wrong, well, you're gonna have to figure it out. The first time is probably gonna be terrifying, but you will learn. And if you don't, life will make sure that you have enough experiences until you do. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my story. If you want to share this video with someone else for them to have a good laugh, go ahead. There's a reason why I'm putting this on the internet. So yeah, take care. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you until next time. Bye. If I had to rank the biggest mistakes that I've made in my life, this one would probably be on the top 5.